Hi everyone, good afternoon and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jaime Lee and I'm a mixed media artist. Here on my channel I do art tutorials, time-lapse paintings, and I also talk about things that I find interesting related to art, paranormal art conspiracy theories, and other things like that. It seems like we've made it to October level of Jumanji in the year 2020. Since October is the month of Halloween, I love Halloween, I love spooky stuff, so I've got a few videos planned for art video topics that are a little bit spooky, interesting, and fun to me at least. Today I will be talking about chilling paintings of murder. If you are interested in art, mixed media art tutorials, have a fascination with the stranger side of life like I do, and hit the subscribe button. And I do videos like this on a regular basis. I will have some linked up here that you can go watch if you would like to. Last Halloween's video was the most haunted painting in the world, so if you want to find out what that is, go ahead and check that out. Let's get started with today's video, which is 6 chilling paintings of murder. To talk about these paintings, I decided to go in chronological order because it just made more sense. I'm going to start with the earliest painting that I found in my research, and then we'll end with the latest painting that I found. So let's find out what happens when murder and art collide. The first painting is from the year 1507 and was painted by Giovanni Bellini. The name of the painting is The Assassination of Saint Peter Martyr. Saint Peter Martyr, who was also known as Peter of Verona, was walking with his companion, Brother Dominic, on April 6, 1252. On the road from Como to Milan, Italy. Suddenly the two men were ambushed by assassins and essentially hacked to death right there on the road, while these woodsmen keep working and this shepherd essentially just minds his own business. So why would a Dominican friar and his holy traveling companion meet this gruesome end? The assassins were actually hired by local Cathar heretics. The Cathars were a group of Christians who believed that there were two gods. One was good and one was evil, and this was a sect that St. Peter had preached vehemently against, so they didn't like him and they had it out for him. During the attack, as shown in the painting, Peter was stabbed repeatedly and he took an axe to the head. You can see the axe actually lodged in his skull. Brother Dominic survived long enough to tell the story of what happened, and to say that Peter even tried to write the word credo, which means I believe, in his own blood during the attack. Subsequently, Peter was made a saint by the Pope after his death. And that is the story of the assassination of Saint Peter Martyr. The next painting I have to talk about comes not too many years after the assassination of Saint Peter Martyr. This one was done in 1511 by Titian Vecellio. Now, Titian painted a fresco, which is essentially a mural, on the Scuola del Santo in Padua, Italy. And this, again, was in 1511. Now, the fresco had other things going on, but one portion of it is what we're talking about today, and it is called The Miracle of the Jealous Husband. And why would it be called that? Well, in the painting, it shows a husband who is stabbing his wife to death. Yes, because she was falsely accused of committing adultery. The story behind this particular scene in this fresco goes that the husband afterwards found out that he was wrong. His wife did not commit adultery. So once he discovered the truth, he begged St. Anthony for pardon, and believe it or not, miracle of miracles, St. Anthony brought the poor woman back to life, so she could apparently live with the man who accused her of cheating on him when she didn't. Yay! For the next painting, we move ahead in time to the year 1793. This is the painting The Death of Marat, and it was painted by Jacques-Louis David. This is one of the most famous images of the French Revolution and was actually painted just a few months after revolutionary leader Jean-Paul Marat's July 13th, 1792 death in his bathtub in his home. As you can see, the painting depicts the radical journalist lying dead in his bathtub, and he has a piece of paper still in his hand. The scene itself is fairly accurate. The painter, Jacques-Louis David, had actually visited Marat the day before his death, in the very spot where he was set to be murdered the next day. So he knew fairly well what Marat's bathtub setup was like. So he painted it pretty much as he saw it that day. Now, Marat being in his bathtub was actually pretty normal. He had a severe skin condition and spent much of his time working from his bathtub while soaking because it was the only thing that brought him relief. So who could have committed this murderous act against Marat? The murderer, or murderess as it turns out, was actually quite a well-known figure for her act against Marat, and she was caught right away because she hung around the scene after she stabbed him. She was Charlotte Corday, who was from a minor aristocratic family. She blamed Marat for the 1792 September massacres, where 1,100 to 1,400 prisoners were killed. Jean-Paul Marat was the leader of the Montagnards. They were a radical French political party during the Reign of Terror, and according to my research, Jean-Paul Marat was known to be the organizer of the riots that caused the massacre. On the day of Marat's death, Corday sent him a note. She promised him info about a counter-revolutionary ring if he allowed her to visit. She arrived and found him in the bathtub, fatally stabbed him, and then hung around until the cops came. The word about Marat's death was pretty much instantaneous, and everybody knew that Charlotte Corday was the one who had committed the act. And the painter, Jacques-Louis David, was also a Montagnard, and he promised to create a painting that would show Marat as a likable hero, which is why he's kind of glowing and bathed in light and looks very serene and peaceful. That was all done very intentionally. He did not depict Charlotte Corday in the painting at all. It was simply focused on Marat as this hero. Now, at first, the painting received quite a bit of attention, but pretty soon it fell out of favor, as did the painter himself. He actually left France and went to Brussels, where he died in exile. The painting was eventually handed to the Brussels Royal Museum of Fine Arts, where it still hangs. So in the painting, the note that Corday sent to Marat is depicted in the painting in his hand, and if you look closely, you can see that Charlotte Corday's name is on the note. The original note is still intact, with bloodstains and bathwater marks and all. Corday later earned her own painting, and this was done in 1860 by Paul-Jacques Aimé Baudry. And the pendulum actually swung in her favor for quite a long time, as history kind of turned Marat into a bloodthirsty monster and viewed Corday as the hero for murdering this terrible revolutionary leader. And that is the story of the painting of the famous revolutionary leader who was found stabbed to death in his bathtub with his murderer standing right nearby. The next painting about murder that we're going to talk about is actually a well-known painting about murder, and it is literally just called The Murder. The Murder was painted by Paul Cezanne. This is in 1867, 1868, so we've jumped forward quite a bit from the last painting. And this depicts a man and a woman who are murdering another woman. The man holds his arm high to stab the victim. The woman is bent over holding the victim down while the man does the murdering. The only face we really see is the victim's, and she is obviously terrified and in pain. They appear to be near a river. The background is pretty dark and kind of chaotic, but it looks like they're kind of by a river and there might be a storm brewing in the background. The possible thought here is that they plan to kill this woman and then dump her in the river and go on their merry way. Later on, in 1874, 75-ish, Cezanne actually painted a watercolor of the same painting. It's the same scene done just a little bit it differently. The new painting has some slight changes. In this one, you could see the man's face. The victim actually has her hand up in the air, kind of like she's defending herself. The watercolor also has a new background. It's not so dark and chaotic. It is thought to be a small French town called Lestat, which actually showed up in Cezanne's paintings here and there. For the next painting, we've now made it to the 1900s, and this is a painting by surrealist painter Rene Magritte, who is probably most well known for his paintings of the man in the bowler hat. He actually did several paintings of men wearing this bowler hat, The Son of Man and The Mysteries of Horizon. Now in this painting, which is called The Menaced Assassin, it is from 1926-1927. This also features some characters in the painting that are wearing bowler hats, so he's using the same imagery again. Magritte was actually a big fan of pre-World War II crime fiction series Fantomas. So as you can see in this painting, there are two what are thought to be detectives kind of waiting outside the door. This part of the painting was borrowed from The Murderous Corpse, which is a film from the series from about 1912-1913. This painting, The Menaced Assassin, is a really big painting. It's one of his biggest paintings. It's actually 60 inches tall by 6 feet wide. And pretty much the deal with this painting is that Magritte loved these, crime fiction stories, and he wanted to depict something similar in a painting. And there's a lot going on in the painting, but the main thing you see when you look at it is that it appears that there is a murdered, bloody woman laying on the bed. There is a man standing next to this gramophone. Some things say that it actually is recorded screams of the murdered woman, and he's just standing there listening to that. There's some creepy guys looking in the window, and then there's these men that are kind of waiting outside the door, it looks like. And so that is the story of The Menaced Assassin, the painting that is based on a crime fiction series. In case you're wondering, Fantomas was based on a 32-volume series written by Pierre Sylvestre and Marcel Alain, who wrote the books in alternating chapters. Magritte was actually fascinated with the character of Fantomas from this series and then the films that were made from the books, because Fantomas supposedly could pass unseen through matter, defy the establishment, and subvert its order. Magritte was also influenced to create this painting and another of his paintings, supposedly the 1927 painting Young Girl Eating a Bird, because of a set of poems that were written by a man named Paul Nuge, who was actually working together with Magritte around the time that Magritte was painting these. And he read these poems. They were actually pretty violent and pretty erotic, and they kind of inspired some of the stuff that he put into these works, even though the poems were actually published for the public until about 1956. And so that is the surrealist painting, The Menaced Assassin. Painting number 6 is from 1964. This is actually an acrylic and silkscreen work done by Andy Warhol, and it is called the Birmingham Race Riot. It is a photo of a police dog attacking a black man, and the photo was originally published by the photographer after the nonviolent actions by protesters aimed at stopping racial segregation in Birmingham, Alabama. According to most sources that I looked at, it's called Race Riot, probably an intentional choice of wording, but it really should be called race protest, because they were not really rioting and doing anything violent. They were trying to do peaceful protests to get their message across. The photo was taken by a photographer named Charles Moore, and it was actually published in Life magazine in May of 1963. Charles Moore actually later sued Andy Warhol for using this photograph without his consent to make this acrylic and silkscreen version, where he didn't really change much of the photo. I think he just flipped it and then you know, did some color, but it was pretty much exactly the same photo that Moore took. It was published in Life magazine by Moore in a photo essay about police dogs attacking civil rights demonstrators. Warhol actually created this print. It was a small print to be part of an exhibit called 10 Works by 10 Painters, where 10 different artists submitted their works around a theme, and Warhol chose this. Like I said, Moore, the photographer, was not exactly happy about it, and a lot of people questioned why Andy Warhol, a white man, was, you know, putting this photograph that he essentially stole from the original photographer out there for mass production, like he did with some of his other more pop icon photographs, even though the subject matter and the themes behind it were very serious. And so was he really trying to make a commentary on race in America at the time, or was he just trying to cater to this Parisian audience who saw the, you know, the pop stuff that he did as commercialism, and he somehow thought that this subject matter would be viewed in a better light by his Paris crowd than the stuff that he was doing back in America. So basically, was this really a powerful commentary, or just the case of an artist using an image that wasn't even his for attention? So there you have it. That is 6 paintings that depict murder throughout history. I hope that wherever you are in the world today that you're doing well, and thanks for hanging out with me today and talking about more cool art related stuff. Please like this video if you enjoyed watching it. Please subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of this type of video. Leave me some comments down below if you have any suggestions for things you'd like me to cover. And I hope you have a great day, and I will see you on my next video. Bye! Why? And it's annoying. Why do I always do that? No, that's stupid. One I saw was different. Wait, am I losing my mind? Yes, I have the Mandela effect. Oh shoot. I swear that's how I remember it. Stupid fly. And if I went and got the fly swatter, guess what? It'd disappear. I should probably do that, but I'm not going to. Hang on, my brain isn't working. And it was done by, what's his name, Paul? Cezanne? Paul Cezanne? And this is a painting done by Cezanne. I'm getting so irritated with this fly.